This wasp is basically a xenomorph. Introducing the tarantula hawk wasp, possibly one of the most nightmare-inducing insects on the planet. And the reason it's such a threat to your mental health is because its hunting and reproduction strategy is ripped straight from Ellen Ripley's autobiography. But before we get to the strats, you're gonna have to learn a little bit about it first. Native to Australia, because of course it fucking is, this fucker is the largest wasp on the planet, coming in at a massive 2.5 inches. Which, I mean, boys, we would all agree, well above average, right? Huge. And this is probably the most effective 2 inches has ever been because it has the second most painful sting of any insect on the planet, coming in just barely behind the bullet ant. Pack and a half-inch stinger with a potent venom that has been described as blinding, debilitating, and electric. Now, the size and poison aren't just for nothing, because as the name tarantula hawk wasp suggests, they are purpose-built, genetically perfect killing machines designed specifically to violate spiders, making Australia basically an all-you-can-eat buffet for them. But they don't just execute the spiders. No, that'd be too normal. Hawk wasps use spiders to reproduce in one of the most horrific ways possible. And that all starts with a female hawk wasp hunting down a tarantula. As the buff bulking spider takes a wrong turn down a dark alley, the hawk wasp, noticing the 8 sets of TNs on his feet, proceeds to fucking jump him, flying down from above to land a sting into the spider's abdomen, instantly and permanently paralyzing it. The Bug Harbour butcher then proceeds to drag the still completely conscious and aware spider into an isolated kill room, which is where the fucked up part really begins. Because our wasp isn't hungry, it's pregnant, and proceeds to lay its egg on the paralysed spider's abdomen. After about 3 to 4 days, that egg hatches into a larvae. A very, very hungry larvae. Fortunately, there's a whole bunch of fresh fruit right here underneath them. That food being the still paralysed, still very conscious and aware spider. The larvae burrows into the spider's abdomen and gets to work converting it into a KFC family bucket, consuming it from the inside out, purposely avoiding vital organs to keep the food nice and fresh. After it's done consuming a living being, the larvae breaks forth from the demolished corpse like a fucking chestburster and fucks off to continue the generational arachnid violation. Anywho, good luck getting any sleep tonight. Stepping on this rock could straight up paralyze you. That's because this isn't actually a rock. That is a stonefish, a species of underwater menace native to Australia. And coming as a surprise to absolutely no one, it is also the most venomous fish in the ocean. Because of course it is. As if the fucking snakes and spiders weren't enough, now I can get packed up by a pet rock. But why is this Pokemon reject such a threat to my mental health? Well, you see, stonefish use their special venom for defense. However, unlike most other animals that do this little f***er doesn't have the decency to dress like a neon sign to warn you. No. This bastard is a 6th prestige prop hunt veteran, having evolved some of the most impressive camouflage in the animal kingdom to make hunting easier. And once they've set themselves up, they are basically indistinguishable from Patrick Starr's house. Now, this is a fairly major problem as they love to live in the shallows on the beach, and that venom we talked about earlier is stored in these 13 giant, highly toxic spines that deliver venom when pressed on. You can probably see where I'm going with this. Considering it's hard enough to spot these things while you're paying attention, if you were, say, on a romantic walk along the beach with one of the homies, and while distracted by his ethereal beauty, weren't paying too much attention to where you were walking, it would be very easy to place your foot in the wrong spot and step directly onto 13 hypodermic needles, which would then deliver a ginormous dose of neurotoxin straight into your system. Oh, you thought it was normal venom? No. You see, these things maxed out the toxin skill tree, producing a mixture of 2 neurotoxins that can flatline you by collapsing your heart and lungs in under an hour. And even if you survive, the sting still causes extreme pain, swelling, and tissue necrosis. Because this is Australia, where even the scenery is trying to one-shot me. If you see this thing T-pose, run! Introducing the anteater, a goofy little creature native to Brazil, and to understand why the absolute stance on this bad boy is a threat to your health, you're gonna have to understand a little about his lifestyle first. Now listen, I know this may come as a shock to you, but the anteater eats ants. And weighing in at 40 kilos and 1.8 meters in length, he needs to consume upwards of 40,000 ants per day. Now, in order to help him hit his bulking goals, the anteater has a mystery mouse tool stored inside that XL sniffer. Let me do it for you. A 60 centimeter long tongue, designed to snake its way down an ant colony's tunnel network, smash into their living room, and abduct the entire cast of Bug's life and convert them into a high-calorie meal. However, what that tongue do only goes so far, as an ant colony can extend up to 4 meters underground, and termites live in high-rises, which means our boy here is going to have to do a little excavation to get to the goods. But last I checked, an anteater can't go down to Bunnings and buy a shovel. So how does he dig? Oh, that's simple, with the combat knives he has for claws. Yeah, anteaters are permanently cosplaying Freddy Krueger, with a set of 4-inch claws, which, proving the effectiveness of a few inches, can crack through f***ing concrete. Now, these work great for digging, but they are also more than capable of flatlining you. When threatened, the anteater will rear up into a defensive T-pose. This is your sign, if you are smart, to turn around and f*** all the way off. If, however, you were, say, some dumbass trophy hunter who really felt the need to try and stab an animal for no reason other than ego, the anteater will swipe at you with those claws, which are at the perfect height to nail your inner thigh, slip through your flesh like butter, and sever your femoral artery, causing you to bleed out in 2 minutes while the anteater watches you go meet your ancestors. Can you imagine having to explain to your ancestors who felled woolly mammoths you got your shit packed up by the most unserious creature on the planet hitting a T-pose? A gorilla can't beat 100 men in a fight. He gets jumped. But that begs the question, which animal does win? And the answer, stepping into the ring at 5 meters long and weighing in at a genuinely frightening 4,500 kilos, I present to you the hippopotamus. Yeah, look, a hippo causing a 100-long line at the gates of heaven after a fight is honestly pretty plausible. You see, despite the fantastic PR work Moodang has done for the hippopotamus community, doesn't change the fact that Moto here is a sentient Ford F-150, the temperament of a f***ing serial killer who can win this fight for one very specific reason. You can't f***ing hurt it. Yeah! You say the hippopotamus is possibly the tankiest land animal on the f***ing planet, packing an unbelievably thick 2-inch hide. Now look, we all know 2 inches is a lot, especially in the sheets, but in the streets of the African savannah, this makes them practically Don't believe me? Here is a hippopotamus walking away from 10 lions trying to convert it into a family meal. Notice how the hippopotamus does not give a single fuck. If Mufasa and his extended family can't hurt it, neither can you. However, don't let the fact that it's walking away fool you here. The hippopotamus is not a peaceful animal. They are, in fact, violent, psychopathic, 4.5-ton thundercats that can and will bite you in half. A hippo's jaw produces 2,000 psi of pure crushing force. So if he catches your ass, you are the watermelon. And as if the hydraulic press wasn't bad enough, don't forget they've got two 20-inch fangs in that mouth that'll put a hole in you big enough to stick your f***ing arm through. But honestly, the bite doesn't even f***ing matter. It weighs 4.5 tons and can run at 30k an hour. Getting hit by a charging hippo is like getting hit by a f***ing bus. There is no way we are winning a fight against something that could probably take out 10 people just by rolling over. In summary, don't f*** with the hungry hippo. Koalas are really dumb. In fact, Australia's fuzzy icon is probably the dumbest thing on the planet. And that stupidity starts with their diet, because of all the things they could have chosen to eat, they chose to eat nothing but straight up poison. You see, koalas feed exclusively on eucalyptus leaves, which, shocking no one, are highly toxic, because they are full to the brim with eucalypt oil, which is so fucking poisonous that as little as 3.75 mil is enough to land you in the afterlife, with the Reaper asking you why the fuck you felt the need to eat a leaf.
Why?
Oh, it's also highly flammable and burns like napalm, because Australia. Now, despite nature putting up this giant do not eat sign, that did not stop the koala, because he can't fucking read. This suboptimal bulking diet not only gives the koala fuck all in the way of nutrition, but also requires their body to rest to filter out the toxins so they don't fucking cark it. Meaning they need to spend upwards of 18 hours a day sleeping in order to just digest their fucking food. These dumbasses spend most of their life in a food coma. That is, however, if they even get to the food to begin with, because they are so mind-numbingly brain dead that they will not recognize a eucalyptus leaf as food unless it is on the branch. I could give this dumbass a lifetime supply of food, and if it wasn't on a stick, he would starve to death. It should come as no surprise to you at this point that the koala has such an esky temperature IQ that they literally have a smooth brain. The thoughts slide right off of this dumb c***. I love him. This bird is a vampire. Introducing the vampire groundfinch, native to the Galapagos Islands, and a great example of the horrifying affronts to the universe that evolution can produce when it decides to do a little trolling. Now you see, at first glance, this is the most boring vampire you can possibly imagine. Coming in at a measly 12 centimeters and a mere 20 grams in weight.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
Rocking a feather pattern I can best describe as a Minecraft dirt block, and as it turns out, the bastards that wrote Twilight lied to me because it doesn't even fucking sparkle.
This is the skin of a killer, Bill.
So if it's missing fangs, angst, a cape, and the funny accent,
you must bounce on it.
How does it qualify as a vampire? Simple. Drinks a shitload of blood. You see, most birds eat seeds and insects, and while the vampire finch can eat those too, there is a problem. They live on an island, and that island is very small. In fact, they're only found on 2 of the Galapagos Islands, and small islands means a far smaller amount of that food to go around. To the point where these finches can't rely on it as their sole source. Which for a bird usually isn't a problem, because, you know, they don't need a plane ticket to just f*** off and fly somewhere. However, as the name suggests, the vampire ground finch can't fly for shit. So, how do they get their food? They suck it out of someone that can. This, don't laugh, is the Nazca booby. Hey, stop giggling back there. Another species of bird native to the islands. They are very strong flyers that feed on fish. They also nest on the islands, which is where our feathery Nosferatu comes to play. You see, when the boobies... Stop giggling. Come to roost, the vampire finch will sneak over and hop onto their back. Then, using their razor-sharp beak, they will poke a very small, borderline painless hole into one of the bird's flight feathers. Once the blood is flowing freely, the vampire finch gorge themselves on it. See, as it turns out, blood is macro-friendly. And considering these things are living creatures, they just make more blood. In essence, giving the vampire finch an infinite food source. In fact, they can get so much blood from these birds, it is not uncommon to see multiple finches sucking from the same boobie. I'm sorry, I can't say that shit without...